Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of What's Up, Doc. Today we have a bit of a different kind of segment. I do not have a veterinarian with me. I have a client with me. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Kyle is an engineer at Scribenote, but he also has a dog that's a lemon. Poor Summer is always at the vet, isn't she?
Yeah, she's there pretty frequently.
Yes.
Probably, once a week almost right now. Yeah.
That is pretty frequent. So can you tell us a bit about what is going on with her?
Yeah. So Summer was diagnosed with irritable bowel disease. I think we got like an official diagnosis through the OVC, which would have been around like year and a half ago now. She's just over 3 years old. So this has been pretty much ongoing since, I think a few months after we got her, May 2022. Yeah.
So obviously a lot of vet visits, a lot of cost. Do you guys have insurance?
We do have insurance. Yeah. That's been a big saving grace, I guess, with this.
For sure. And you have obviously more than one dog. And you have insurance for all of your pets?
We do now, yeah. Like, it wasn't really a thing that we considered much in the past. Yeah. And then, we had actually a previous puppy who had, a terminal illness. Oh, nice. And so that really, and we didn't do insurance for her. Yeah. We did everything that we could as far as that went. But then we decided, like, okay, we get another puppy, we're going to do insurance so that we, don't have to face the kind of financial burden that comes with that.
Yeah, for sure. It can be a significant financial burden. Like, we know the cost of care has just continued to go up. And, compared to in human medicine, I think the costs are much lower. And we're in Canada, so we don't even see those costs really. But yeah, maybe tell us a bit about your experience at the vet clinic. So, how you find, like the whole client experience that you go through.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes it starts with like booking an appointment, or like after a visit, we book one for the next one right away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, usually it's coming in with her. It's, kicking around the waiting room for not very long, usually like 5-ish minutes, until room's open, then going in. And then, sometimes you'll see a vet tech beforehand. Sometimes you'll just go right in and see the vet. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you found like any, I guess, struggles through all of your experiences? Like any barriers to care at all?
Yeah. Barriers to care, I guess. That really comes down to, I think, as, the pet owner advocating for getting kind of the necessary treatment sometimes, and even maybe speeding along. Like, we'd rather, because we have insurance, we would rather do, more testing at one time than have to follow up with like, kind of one appointment, come in 4 days later because it came back, positive, and then we've got to do another appointment. We'd kind of rather just like get it done so we can get as much information as possible as soon as possible.
Yeah, so obviously hard to advocate. Like, what I find is pet owners know their pet the best, right? And so they know what they're experiencing, what is working, what is not working. Sometimes it can be really hard to even be able to advocate for something with no voice, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys have been able to kind of use your insurance for the better, right? And get in and get testing done that's needed. It's so hard when clients don't have insurance, and like you said, the stepwise diagnostic process becomes really like cumbersome and challenging when you're working, right? Like, how do you take time off, like, and then you're losing money because you're not working and you have to pay for this expensive disease process, right? So, obviously insurance is a huge benefit. You obviously have gone to the specialist. What have those visits looked like? how has that experience been for you guys?
Yeah, so that experience has been pretty good. We've usually been going to the OVC, which is a specialist that's local to the area that we live. Um, and that usually, I guess lately, has been through our like regular vet. So basically, she kind of interfaces with the OVC at this point,
Hmm.
just so that it's a little bit less communication that we have to do. And then it just kind of allows, the vets to speak with one another from the specialist to our main vet. And then we're looped in kind of as needed. But yeah, usually that would come with like calling ahead, getting into the specialist, I guess, through the OVC was important to us because we had a number of times where we had the need for an emergency clinic with her. And, unfortunately, we had a bad experience at the emergency clinic when she was experiencing bloat. We were sent home without actually getting, what needed to get done, and it
Right.
was the following day where we went to our vet and then we went to the OVC and yeah,
Yes.
and kind of got it really kicked off from there. So any emergency situation, that's where we can go now
Yes.
because we're
And they have all your history,
and
right?
they've got all
So,
the history. Yeah,
especially with complicated dogs, right? Like you want somebody who knows kind of all of the background.
that I think is a challenging piece. Even
Yeah.
going back to the OVC through an emergency, it's a lot of like there's a lot of information about Summer, so but every emergency visit gets kind of treated as a like its own self-contained thing,
Hmm.
and that's where advocating for the dog becomes really important and knowing her history and being able
Yeah.
to communicate that.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys almost need like a travel sheet of like all the meds she's on, all the things she's had
Yeah,
done.
yeah, big shout out to my wife. She keeps like a very detailed list of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super important.
yeah,
We often see, sometimes clients come in and it's, not necessarily a direct caretaker of the pet, which can be really challenging, right? Because if you don't have the updated information and you don't have, you don't even know things like what the dog is eating, then you're just missing a lot of puzzle pieces. So having that like really in-depth knowledge and being able to help advocate for her, I think is really important.
yeah. I find it difficult to imagine, I guess, like sending somebody else. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine sending somebody else with Summer to the vet to try and, I don't know, be there in place of either my wife or I.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be a lot to ask.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so you're going to the vet pretty much weekly now.
Yeah, we're doing pretty consistent checkups, just to make sure like we were at a point where we were trying different food, trying different drugs. She was vomiting pretty much, regular basis. Yeah, vomiting, nausea. So we tried to change her food, diet. We tried a couple of different things. Nothing worked out. And then it was just food not processing through her stomach, even though she's on, you know, what is it?
Hypoallergenic?
Well, she was on Hypo HP. That was
Yeah.
kind of the food that we've had the best success with
Yeah.
for her. And then we tried two other foods, different proteins, etc. No success with those. And yeah, metoclopramide, I think that's the like stomach contracting drug, right? She was on that and still experiencing this. She's on now she's on cisapride. She's been on Serenia. Now she's as far as steroids go, we're doing prednisone. She's been on that for like 2 months, and now we're trying to get off of prednisone because it's not a great like long-term drug.
Yeah.
And we're doing cyclosporin, so we're kind of in the middle of transitioning that, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to transition off of this to that drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did really well with all the drug names. Um, yeah, it sounds super complicated for her, poor girl. But I mean, at least she's got you guys in her corner, trying to make her feel her best and have her best quality of life because obviously she's a young, bouncy lab
Yeah.
and she doesn't know she has this disease, right? So she feels probably pretty good every day. It's just like,
For the most part, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Definitely when it's bad, you can tell she's not quite as energetic. But yeah, for
Yeah.
the most part, like she's a lab. She's 3 years old. She just wants to have fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the nice thing I find about pets is they really don't dwell on things too much, right? It's like every day is a new day, and I feel as good as I did yesterday,
Yeah.
but I'm not thinking about yesterday, you know? If we could all live a little bit more like that, I
That's
think.
a great lesson for pets is they teach you to live in the moment a little
Yeah,
bit.
for
Yeah.
sure. I guess my last question would be like, as a client, what do you think the biggest, like the most important thing in your visits are, like with regards to how much instruction you get, like, how things are communicated? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I think for our appointments is really making sure that like there's a clear understanding of what is happening in the day to
Mhm.
day from like the food, how frequently she's eating to basically bowel movements are pretty important for her, what medication she's on
Yeah.
and when, and then any side effects, right? Because all those medications that I just listed earlier, like, they come with their own set of side effects,
Yeah.
which also mean you're taking other medications just to support the
Hmm.
side effects, but those side effects are worth it for, overall, like what the steroid is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So just making sure that the veterinarian is communicating properly, I think is
Yeah.
huge, right?
Yeah.
Like in
clear
school.
notes clear
Yeah.
notes like that's really important for us to have them and then to be able to share them and
Yeah.
then even vice versa, right? Like I think getting or knowing what you've agreed upon when you leave, basically, so we've got our care plan for however weeks. It's usually not months at this point, it's
Yeah.
weeks
Yeah. Yeah.
at best. Yeah.
Yeah. So a good client summary to go home
A
then.
great client summary to go home
Yeah.
is really important to us. Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing for us as care providers to make sure we're doing, right? Because you are spending a ton of time and a ton of effort to manage your dog's ongoing medical concerns and to be to be honest, like obviously it will become more and more frustrating if you didn't have all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And the complexity of each appointment. Like we touch on so many different
yeah,
things with her. Like my other dogs, it's easy. We just show up and, there's not really much to do because they don't have any health issues. It's all
yeah,
pretty standard. We're at the vet like once, twice a year. They're regular
right.
checkups.
Yeah, yeah,
But with summer, it's completely different.
yeah. It must be a really, difficult
Yeah,
experience
it's hard.
overall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
And I always feel for the clients that have to come in, like our frequent flyers, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's a lot of challenges around it, time and financial and obviously stress, right? It's like caring for a child with an illness, right?
Yeah.
You love them just as much. I'm not sure. I don't have children, but you can attest to that
Yes,
maybe. Yeah.
summer's an important part of our family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you guys are doing a really good job taking care of her. And I thought it would be really appropriate to bring, you in, and maybe we'll have some other people from the team later on who can attest to the other side of the experience, right? Like behind the exam room table kind
Yeah.
of client firsthand experience, I think is nice for vets to hear about. As well, I'm sure there's not always only good media surrounding veterinary visits and veterinary care. So overall, do you appreciate your veterinarian?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, we've got a really good relationship with our vet
yeah,
and, we understand, like she cares for our dog, especially like, Summer exceptionally. So
yeah,
she's great. She makes herself really available for any questions, etc.
yeah,
And like, I know how busy the day is there.
yeah.
So yeah, no, we really appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was really nice to hear from you about Summer, and I hope her treatment plan keeps, on the right track
Yeah.
with your new medication course. And we will sign off there. We'll see everybody next time on What's Up Doc.
Okay. Thanks, Katie.
No problem, Kyle.